Well, this is going to be my follow-up war video from the last cross-regional war, and right now I'm just opening up a bunch of my chests and stuff and trainers. This was actually during the war because I was hoping to get some war tins because they updated that, and I'm in dire need of some. So I'm actually really excited about the changes that Scopely made to these tokens. Like, even basic rewards now aren't that bad. You know, you get 3-star weapons, 3-star, 4-star, and even 5-star tunes. And I actually found that I was getting quite a few 5-star tunes, more than what I really knew what to do with. So I have a lot of Ascendance fodder now, which is great. And I'm going to have a ton of supply tokens, which, you know, will be helpful because they are updating the supply depot. But it also makes me curious as to what I'm going to do with all my supply depot tokens. And I guess in a way, it encourages people to refresh the supply depot because they did make it a little better. There's more tunes that you can get in it, which means, you know, for collectors, it's great because they can collect the tunes that they didn't have before. And for newer players, now they have a means of actually getting some ascendable tunes in a very, well, simple manner, in my opinion. So I just put a bunch of my war matches at full speed, and not all of them are clean, but you will see me use a lot of the same teams over and over again. And I think my two favorite tunes right now that I picked up somewhat recently would be Lily and Marlin and Rosie. And if you recall correctly, I actually got those two tunes because of Skullgate, because of the collector's thing. So if you spend a certain number of coins or whatever, then or did a certain number of pulls, you were able to collect certain tunes. So in my case, it was some token, I can't remember which tokens it was, but you got to pull off a wheel, and that's how I pulled Lily. And then because I made 40 pulls, I got Marlin and Rosie. And I've actually found Marlin and Rosie to be more effective sometimes than my decapitation decap standee. And I think that's only because I'm running Dale on my team a lot. So what Dale does that really very few other tunes do is that his active skill can do 100% heal reduction to the enemy, which is like a semi-permanent decap. It's a temporary one. So it can be very effective in my opinion, which means I don't really have to use a decapitation tune if I don't want to. Like with his rush, which does minus 60 defense to the enemy, and then maim damage of 600. So that really just breaks all guardian shields, does a little bit of damage, which can actually finish off some tunes. Of course, he's a command tune, so he offers a lot of control. And of course, his active skill, as mentioned, 100% heal reduction and focus to my team for 3 turns. In my opinion, he's one of the best tunes in the game, just because he's a jack of all trades and is able to do so many different things that are useful even in the current meta. So the combination of Marlin and Rosie and Dale, I find, is very effective because Marlin and Rosie's weapon, the natural weapon, is the chance to gain 50% of his AP, which means that he can sometimes be commanded to rush on turn 2, or I guess maybe even turn 1 if you think about it, because behind a Michelle lead, and even with the medium bonus to AP on attack, so 20 base AP for attacking, plus 10 from Michelle, and then plus 5 for a medium, so that's 35, with his AP being 66, and potential to gain half of that, which is 33, that's 68 AP. So in some cases, I actually can rush Marlin and Rosie on turn 1 if he gets 50% of his AP right away. I know a lot of people have changed Marlin and Rosie's weapon to be 8% AP and just run a full AP team, but I just found that it would take too long, and I wanted to use my tune right away because I think he would be effective on my team, and he is. He's very effective. So by running him the way that I do, it allows me to run aggressive teams, and I really love his honor roll ability because I can attack these Negans. For instance, if I was to use my other team because I didn't know they had Negans or Waylons with payback, because of the honor roll ability, he will constantly be gaining attack over time, which means if I just use a basic attack, I have a decent chance of actually killing Negan or Waylon just with those basic attacks, especially if I drop their defense using Dale first. Another honor roll tune that I want to incorporate into my attack team, or at least one of them, is the Season Store Tara. I think she'd be really effective because honor roll, as mentioned before, works the same as Marlin and Rosie's. And by being a blue tune, she can have a blue double attack weapon. So even off a basic attack, she would be very effective and could potentially kill the enemy just off the one attack. Right now, I've been using blue alpha quite a bit because of her collateral 2 damage. So off a basic attack, if she gets a critical hit, then she can apply 80% damage to adjacent tunes, which is very effective against some of these all red teams. It's a little inconsistent because you don't always get that critical attack, especially if you don't have a crit leader like a new threat Dwight, who I really want personally because I think he would be a perfect leader. The plus 40 attack, the plus 36 crit, and then his rush is really effective as well because it removes, I can't remember if it's all positive statuses or just all positive defensive statuses. But point is, it does a lot of harm to the enemy. So if anyone has, a defensive buff, it removes that, which makes it a lot easier, obviously, to kill the opponent. So I've been really enjoying my alpha. She has an active AP drain as well. And then her rush, as you see right there, she can confuse 2 enemies. And because most people are modding against bleed, burn, maim, and taunt, confuse is often ignored. But that's also because an ability like focus can cause tunes to ignore certain effects like taunt and confuse. But if you don't allow them to use that ability, then you're going to be fine usually. Like this blue attack team that I use has confuse, has stun, has impair, and taunt. So it has basically everything you can imagine. So it gives me a lot of options. And by running a healer, Guardian Shield, Douglas, I can heal my team as needed while also taunting the enemy. He has a great active confuse, and Guardian can block unfriendly attacks or abilities, so even like payback or bide. So sometimes when I'm against those types of tunes, I will try to trigger their bide or payback with my team shielded. So if an L or a Ryan is close to going off because the orange bar is near the top, but I have someone who's unshielded, so I know that the next turn L or Ryan will defend and release the bide damage onto the unprotected tune, I will try to trigger it with whoever is under a Guardian Shield, which I find to be quite effective. Another Guardian Shield who I think would be very effective on most teams is that Guardian 2 Rick, who is on this defensive team. I just find him to be a real jack of all trades. He can taunt, he can apply some damage, he has excellent control with his Guardian Shield, and then he can also revive members on your team. So even the AP gain isn't terrible. It isn't great when on defense. I find a lot of tunes that have a combination on their active skill use it in silly ways, to be honest. So like I've seen Guardian Rick use his active skill to gain AP, and then the next turn I kill someone and he can't use his active skill to actually revive someone. So it can be a little challenging to run him on defense because you could increase his active skill and max it out, but at the same time, if you do that, you run into the problem that I just mentioned. So this war, I actually did pretty good. I was a little surprised because I ended up getting to my 200k pretty fast. The only downside to this weekend was that I didn't have a lot of war cans, so it made it difficult to really keep warring, obviously. I ended up with like 330,000 points, I think, and we didn't have many easy matches. I would say it was balanced between, top-notch factions and more mid to low factions. And at times I did feel bad having to face a faction that was 50 spots below us in war. I just found it to be unfair for them. But if you think about it, the top ranking factions are in the most number of wars, so it makes sense that you're going to, as a lower faction, match a faction that's stronger than you more often than not, because it takes a certain amount of time for the other factions that are similar in caliber to, to get a match. Anyway, I personally found the weekend to be pretty enjoyable from a standpoint of my faction doing well, me making my milestones, the changes to, basic tokens and all that. It was a little more exciting to open them, but I feel like that'll wear off very soon because everyone will kind of realize that the gap still exists. And that gap is not going to be fixed by just, giving 5 stars out that, well, are kind of irrelevant at this point. Even some of the ascendables that they're giving out aren't exactly helping most people. So I actually have 2 war polls coming up, and I'm having those 2 war polls come up just because the last war that I had, I ended up topping up to 800 tokens, and I just got 1,200 tokens. The war scoreboard here is kind of out of whack, so I can't look at that, unfortunately. Bruce Allen Cooper, I got him before. Carl, I would take because I don't have him. Cole, I got him already, but great tune. I don't mind another one. I don't have Jeremiah. Vincent, I don't even want to go near. Yumiko, I don't have, so I'd like to use her actually. I think she'd be good on a bleed team. Pulled on Bruce Allen Cooper. And I get 5-star Yumiko, so I like that I don't have her. And a 6-star Cole, so another usable tune, in my opinion. So I hope this last war went well for you. I'm excited to hear if you guys got any pulls and if you got who you wanted. If you got a Vincent, I am so sorry. Thanks again for watching my video.